No one expected the night to end like this. Not after the explosions of sound, the roaring chants, the endless waves of purple lights that had filled the stadium just hours before. Not after the energy that shook every corner of Tampa during the second night of the tour. Not after the smiles, the laughter, the unstoppable presence that Jungkook had carried from the very first second he stepped on stage. But behind the noise, behind the perfection, behind the power, something was building, something quiet, something heavy, and when the final note faded into silence, when the light slowly dimmed and the crowd's screams began to echo into the distance, that something finally broke. Backstage, away from the cameras, away from the blinding lights of Raymond James Stadium, the atmosphere changed completely. The chaos was gone. The adrenaline began to fade. The reality of the moment, the end of something that had just happened, started to settle in. Jungkook sat down. At first it didn't look unusual. Performers sit after shows all the time. They breathe. They recover. They come down from the intensity of the stage. But this wasn't that, because his shoulders were shaking, subtly at first, almost unnoticeable, until it wasn't. His head lowered, his hands resting loosely as if he didn't have the strength to hold them steady anymore. The energy that had once filled him, the fire, the confidence, the overwhelming presence had shifted into something else entirely. Something raw, something real. And then the tears came, not slowly, not carefully, but suddenly, unstoppable. His eyes filled, his breathing broke, and before anyone could fully react, Jungkook was crying. Not the kind of tears meant for the stage, not the kind that can be controlled or hidden behind a smile, but the kind that come from deep inside, when emotions that have been held back for too long finally find their way out. The room went still, staff members paused, voices softened, even the smallest movements felt louder than they should have, because everyone understood. This wasn't just exhaustion. This wasn't just the end of a concert. This was something deeper, something tied to everything that had happened that night, and everything that was about to end. Jungkook tried to breathe, tried to steady himself, but it wasn't working. His chest rose and fell unevenly, his eyes red, his expression breaking in a way that fans rarely ever see. Because this wasn't Jungkook the performer, this was Jungkook the person, and in that moment he couldn't hold it together anymore. Then quietly, RM stepped closer. He didn't rush, he didn't interrupt, he simply moved toward him with a calm, steady presence. The kind of presence that doesn't need words to be understood. For a brief second, Jungkook didn't look up. He didn't say anything, but he didn't need to. Because RM already knew. And then, he reached out, wrapping his arms around Jungkook, pulling him close in a firm, protective embrace. Not loosely, not briefly, but tightly. As if trying to hold him together in a moment where everything felt like it was falling apart. Jungkook leaned in, without hesitation, without resistance, as if that was exactly what he needed. The tears didn't stop. If anything, they became heavier, because sometimes being comforted doesn't stop the pain. It allows it to be released. And in that embrace, Jungkook let go. He cried into RM's shoulder, his body shaking slightly, his emotions finally free after being held back through an entire night of performance, expectation, and overwhelming connection. RM didn't speak much. He didn't need to. One hand rested gently on Jungkook's back, moving slightly, slowly, like a quiet reassurance that he wasn't alone, that he didn't have to be strong right now, that it was okay. Because behind every powerful moment on stage, behind every perfect performance, there is a human being who feels everything just as deeply as the people watching. And tonight, that feeling was too much to hold in. The reason became clearer as the silence stretched. Because the concert wasn't just another stop. It wasn't just another night. It was the end of something. The end of those 2 nights in Tampa. The end of those exact moments with ARMY. The end of that closeness. Jungkook had given everything on stage. Every smile. Every movement. Every glance. Every connection. He had been so close to them. Closer than ever before. He had seen their faces. He had heard their voices. He had felt their presence, and now it was over. The distance returned, the stage disappeared. The moment became a memory, and for someone who thrives on connection, who lives through the energy of fans, who finds meaning in those shared experiences, that separation hurts more than people realize. Jungkook wasn't crying because he was weak. He wasn't crying because he couldn't handle it. He was crying because he felt it, all of it, the love, the energy, the closeness, and the sudden absence of it. I can't be close to them anymore. Not like that. The feeling seemed to say, even without words, I already miss them. That's what made the moment so powerful, so human, so real. RM tightened his hold slightly as if understanding every unspoken word, every hidden emotion, every silent thought running through Jungkook's mind, because he had been there too. He had felt it too. The overwhelming connection with fans, and the quiet emptiness that follows when it ends. The other members stayed nearby, giving space, respecting the moment, but their presence was there. Supportive, understanding, silent. No one rushed him, no one told him to stop, because some moments aren't meant to be fixed. They're meant to be felt. Minutes passed. Or maybe seconds. Time didn't move normally in that room. Eventually, Jungkook's breathing began to slow. The tears didn't disappear completely, but they softened. The intensity faded just enough for him to lift his head slightly. His eyes were still red, his face still emotional, but there was something else there now. Relief, the kind that comes after letting everything out. RM looked at him, not with concern, not with worry, but with quiet understanding. A small nod, a silent message. You're okay. Jungkook didn't say much. He didn't need to, because the moment had already said everything. Outside, fans were still talking, still posting, still reliving the night. They spoke about the performances, the energy, the unforgettable scenes that had taken over Tampa, but they didn't know. Not yet. They didn't know about the quiet moment backstage, the tears, the hug, the reality behind the stage. And when those images began to spread, when fans saw Jungkook crying, when they saw RM holding him, the reaction was immediate. Shock, concern, emotion, because it reminded everyone of something important, something often forgotten in the excitement of concerts and performances, that idols aren't just performers. They're people who feel deeply, who love deeply, who miss deeply. And in that moment, Jungkook wasn't just the global superstar who dominated the stage. He was someone who simply didn't want the connection to end, someone who wasn't ready to let go, someone who already missed ARMY the second it was over. And maybe that's why the moment hit so hard, because it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't staged, it wasn't for the cameras, it was real, a quiet, emotional ending to a night that had been anything but quiet, a reminder that behind the loudest performances are the softest moments, and that sometimes the most powerful thing isn't what happens on stage, but what happens after the lights go out. And now, as fans around the world replay the videos, share the images, and try to understand what they're seeing, one question lingers, heavier than before. If Jungkook already misses ARMY this much the moment the concert ends, what will happen the next time he stands on that stage again and sees them after being apart for even longer? Jungkook left fans heartbroken after an emotional moment following BTS's second night in Tampa at Raymond James Stadium. After giving everything on stage, Jungkook couldn't hold back his tears backstage. The reason? Fans believe it's because he misses ARMY and can no longer stay close to them after the concert ends. In a touching moment, RM stepped in and hugged him tightly, showing the deep bond between members. This emotional scene quickly went viral, leaving fans around the world in tears. Is this the most emotional BTS moment of 2026? Or is there something deeper behind Jungkook's tears? Watch till the end to feel the full moment. Like, comment, and subscribe for more BTS updates.